So, namaste and good morning to all. I welcome back all this Friday morning as Director Innovation and Startup Promotion, Software Technology Parks of India, and CEO of AIC STPI Next Initiatives. It's a great honor and privilege to bring the distinguished speakers from the industry and the government in this fourth session of STPI Pulse, the Knowledge Series for Transformative Ideation. Very good morning to my distinguished speakers today, Shri Mohit Saxena, a serial entrepreneur, founder of Rizort, and a co-founder of and former CTO of InMobi, India's first unicorn. Welcome, Mohit, and my second speaker in this session today is Dr. Omkar Rai, Director General at Software Technology Parks of India. I also welcome all my respected STPI directors, my esteemed colleagues from all 60 centers of STPI, and I think more than currently the number is going up. We have more than 500, 600 participants who are watching us live. And as we move forward to session, I think we will have more people joining in. We are also live on FB page of STPI India and STPI Next. STPI Pulse, an online webinar series, is a pioneering initiative STPI and AIC STPI Next initiatives, where speakers of global repute have been sharing their knowledge, experience, and insight for the benefit of the community at large. Through this series, our aim is to spread the knowledge and support Indian IT industry, and in particularly startups of the nation, to become more resilient and stay afloat by deliberating on the challenges, opportunities, and strategies to become more sustainable, efficient, and resilient in front of this global crisis. It gives me immense pleasure to tell that STPI Pulse has been very, very successful. It has been hugely watched, and the combined viewership of the last 3 sessions is almost 7,250 plus. It's a huge number, which people are literally waiting for this STPI Pulse session. In fact, last session was almost 3,500 people watching us live. So once again, thanks audience for joining back today, and we do hope that these sessions are bringing very, very valuable insights for you across the spectrum. I'm sure today's session from our keynote speaker, Mohit Saxena, counting opportunities in the challenging times, where he is going to delve into pre and post-COVID era, as startups and entrepreneurs, his take on how to navigate this pandemic, and most important, spotting opportunities in the problems, will be equally enriching. And I also request Mohit to draw some parallels and examples on how they are dealing the same in their endeavors, as they are already into this startup arena for very, very long time. I would also request Dr. Rai to touch upon the emergence of the new world. I think we are all seeing a new world, new paradigm. The world powers are changing, the opportunities are very different, and post COVID-19, India is going to see huge opportunities. So I'll request Dr. Rai to focus upon and his take on where India, and especially the software product industry and the economy of world, and where India as a superpower is going to emerge after this COVID-19. My first speaker is Dr. Omkar Rai. I think there's no need as such introduction, but Dr. Rai has been Director General of Software Technology Parks of India, a premier government organization under Ministry of Electronics and IT, and has been working for the promotion of the IT, ITS, ESDM industry in India. Dr. Rai has contributed immensely in repositioning STPI with focus on innovation and dispersal of the IT, ITS, and ESDM industry beyond metros. With over 25 years of experience and with a unique distinction of enabling close working of government and the industry, I think that's the hallmark of his leadership, which STPI has seen. Since 2012 onwards, he has been very, very vocal in speaking in support of India emerging as software product nation. And we are seeing the fruits of that, as we move forward. As a brand ambassador of Indian IT industry, he has been instrumental in formulating an appropriate interface among industry, academia, and various industry associations and startup ecosystem players. I think the collaborative environment, the collaborative framework has been hallmark in which STPI, and I think a lot of people are moving forward, and that's primarily coming from his vision. His latest focus and passion in towards building a vibrant pan-India tech entrepreneurship and startup ecosystem is driving all of us towards the same. Under his leadership, STPI is marching ahead with several new initiatives, such as centers of excellence across emerging technologies, AI, IoT, data analytics, right, and next generation incubation scheme with a focus on tier 2, nurturing startups in tier 2 cities. And also, a couple of new initiatives like Network of Makers Lab, the Fab Labs, or various different labs for fueling culture of design and creation inside India. BPO promotion scheme has resulted, under his leadership, has resulted in dispersal of ITS industry to more than 200 cities of India. and that has been very well received, very well recognized also by both government and industry. His recent announcement on national policy on software products, where I think a lot of initiatives are happening. So I welcome, as first speaker, I would request Dr. Rai to open with his opening thoughts. So Dr. Rai, over to you.
Thank you, Subodh. First of all, I would say good morning to all the participants. And I must express my gratitude towards Shri Mohit Saxena, co-founder InMobi, who has been so nice to give his time and convenience, particularly presently staying in USA, San Francisco. And it's too late for him, but he has joined us. Thank you very much. I would say that uh, the journey of IT industry of India, which started in beginning of '80s, has seen tremendous growth, tremendous transition. Uh, at a point of time in 1991, 92, when the exports from India used to be about 51 crore, now we have reached to $147 billion in year 2019-20, with about $191 billion overall revenue in this sector, with 43 lakhs manpower, 4.3 million manpower, who are employed and working on across the value chain, right from coding, business process management services, to R&D, to package product creation. And now Indian IT industry is seen as a outsourcing industry which creates product and does R&D as a service. Before this COVID-19 happened, India was actually marching ahead and was trying to put measures in place to make sure that the way we have excelled in IT services, the same way we excel in product creation also. Because if you look at India's share in IT outsourcing business, it stands about 55% of the total global IT outsourcing market, which stands close to $200 billion. But if you look at the India's share in software product market of the world, which stands close to $520 billion, our share is merely about $9 billion. And that is where we had seen a lot of possibility and opportunity to do great things. We are very sure, we know that we have to excel and continue to grow in terms of IT services, because this is the one service which creates large number of employment and distributes the wealth equally through, because being a manpower intensive industry, at the same time to accrue a lot of wealth and create a lot of wealth, our growth in terms of software product was also must. And because of that reason, as my colleague Subodh has just said, that because of a lot of thought that went into the government sector and policymakers, we could come up with a national policy on software product in beginning of 2019. And since then we have been doing a lot of things, like within STPI we decided to open about 28 center of excellence in collaborative manner, with having leaders from the IT industry to lead each and every center of excellence. Essentially each center of excellence was created to be a collaborative effort with private IT entrepreneurs, IT industry leaders, academia, and so many industry organizations, to make sure that the kind of center of excellence we create should be able to cater to the need of the budding entrepreneurs, ideators, and creators of the software products. These 28 center of excellence uh, needed about close to in Indian rupees about 600 to 700 crore rupees investment, which would primarily come from the government of India, Ministry of Electronics and IT, Software Technology Parks of India, and various state governments, apart from the philanthropists and IT veterans who are also willing to invest and grant some of their some of grant and fund from their own philanthropic funds that they almost run in most of the places. And this was the effort India also envisaged, aspired to take India's software product industry between 80 to $90 billion by 2025. And for that, we all these stakeholders, including Ministry of Electronics and IT and such other organizations, they were all trying to do to help create a ecosystem where budding entrepreneurs, ideators, and people who want to solve the problems of this country, create new products, creates alternative products also. They were all to be afforded with all kind of infrastructure and support. I must talk very little about it. What I am trying to say is that before this COVID-19, India was engaged in taking a lot of action to make sure that we also grow in kind of a technology product. And as a testimony of the entire effort, you can see that when as soon as the Startup India initiative was launched by the government of India few years before, India has quickly risen to the third largest ecosystem in the world with more than 9,000 startups, with about 1,300 startup which added only in year 2019, and the entire startup ecosystem in only in year 2018 and 19 attracted about 15.54 billion investment. Overall valuation of the startups have been in the tune of $56 billion. India has now about 24 as of now 24 unicorns, and seven unicorns have been added only in year 2019. Of course, Sri Mohit Saxena, co-founder InMobi, would talk a little about and throw some light on what experience he had while becoming India's perhaps first unicorn, and way back few years before. So that story, of course, attracts people, and I am sure that story will be told to them. What I am trying to say is that India has quickly picked up in terms of startup ecosystem, in terms of startup movement, and with the strong IT outsourcing industry that India has, which has also powered India's growth and strides in terms of creation of e-commerce platforms, India stack like Aadhaar, GSTN network, government e-marketplace, and all such technical infrastructure like success of Bheem UPI protocol, Bheem payment gateways, and all. This has all happened because we had a great IT services industry in India, which actually powers the R&D of the world, which has actually powered and made the industry 3.0 happen in entire world. Actually, from India, all these services were delivered to their customers, and world witnessed a very rapid growth in Industry 3.0 revolution. What I'm trying to say that during this COVID, what we have seen is that digital adoption in India has grown right from metros to a rural place, last place in this country. People have been quick to learn to adopt the things digitally, and all those digital platforms have been accessed by them, which can be seen from the fact that the data consumption, internet data consumption in this country is going very rapidly every day. On 21st March, 22nd March, when the lockdown was announced, we were on average we were consuming 308 petabyte data, which is rapidly growing in accelerated manner. We have also seen about many-fold growth in the subscriber base of Netflix and YouTube. At the same time, uh, broadband consumption has grown by 40%. Digital payment have grown many times. Our e-commerce platforms, which were also which became possible and became so successful because of the kind of technology, the kind of manpower talent that we had within India, which helped all these founders to quickly convert their ideas into a platform. And this platform has come for rescue to the Indians. And during this lockdown, India has been served by these e-commerce platform, and we have been receiving our groceries and other supplies, and that was tremendous contribution that has been made by IT industry. I foresee a great future for technology entrepreneurship, technology startup ecosystem, and IT industry of India. This is my point of view. This is the kind of learning experience that I feel. It's my feeling, because I feel that uh, all these wealthy nations have become wealthy. They have been able to increase their per capita income riding on technical services and manufacturing. In times to come, when governments are going to be, very restrictive, there are going to be protectionist measures. World organization like WTO, WHO, and other regulations are going to see a lot of resistance from the nation, committee of nations, because people are going to protect their citizens. And therefore, the import of finished goods, movement of finished goods, and cost to manufacture because of social distancing and all is going to be costly, fading away, the economy of scale. And therefore, the world is going to see a phenomena where manufacturing is going to happen close to the market, close to the consumer. And therefore, wealth is skewed wealth accumulation that some of the wealthy countries, developing countries, had one point of time till hitherto. That benefit, that advantage, they are going to lose in times to come. And therefore, the leadership will come. Most of the wealth and value creation will come basically from the technology services. And India is absolutely in a position, because of its 3 decades background, and because of its experience in serving industry 3.0 revolution, because of becoming a IT R&D outsourcing destination, and because the Indian talent and most of the IT companies where Indian people, Indian talent, and Indian IT companies are serving at all level of the value chain, we are a very potential destination, potential location. And I am sure that in times to come, with all these measures in place, and because of all these opportunity that will emerge post COVID-19, we are in a position to become a leader. However, for that, we have to take a lot of things, take a lot of measures. We have to be very proactive. We have to do what is needed to help this ecosystem grow rapidly. And therefore, in the government and in the IT industry at large, we are duty bound to help India create this kind of ecosystem, these kind of and to take all such measures which helps India to capitalize on this situation and quickly transform itself to become even a leader in technology products, software product, and becoming a startup capital of the world. With these few words, I would conclude my thoughts, and I am very hopeful, and I am keen to listen to Sri Mohit Bansal, Sri Mohit Saxena, because he is the one actually the real person who has created such an unicorn by his own hands. And therefore the he would actually not give us a lecture. He would tell his story, how he has done it, and he will also give us insight as to how India can really capitalize in this kind of scenario. Thank you very much for this opportunity. Thank you, Subodh.
Thank you, sir. I think wonderful to hear some of these thoughts in terms of where Indian talent and where the potentiality of making the Indian talent make and the opportunities if they can map it. And I think the world will change accordingly. And I think for the startups and especially to the Indian software industry, as you said, there is a huge potential and huge opportunity which is waiting for them. Yes, the world is contracting, the economy may be changing, but there is a good hope for we emerging as a big software product nation. I would like to move to my keynote speaker. Before I bring in Mohit Saxena, let me quickly introduce Mohit. Mohit, a serial entrepreneur, has started again and founded Resort Vacations with an aim to disrupt luxury vacation marketplace after founding India's first unicorn and global technology powerhouse InMobi, which became unicorn way back in 2014. As co-founder and Mohit and team at InMobi built a global product for B2B space from Namma, Bengaluru. InMobi, the poster boy of Indian startups, has pivoted successfully from being an independent mobile advertising platform, for enterprise to becoming a global provider of cloud-based intelligent mobile platform for the enterprise market. The Bengaluru-based company, which competes with Google and the Facebooks for data-driven mobile advertising, is really a poster boy in Indian startup arena. Mohit and his founding team has built, mentored, and scaled, the most awesome technology organization, and which has been powering InMobi's, continuous, what we call as new avatar of InMobi, and I think Mohit is going to talk about some of that, what's happening in InMobi, and especially on Rizort as well. Before InMobi and Rizort, Mohit managed technology operations at Virgin Mobile, designing and deploying their post-paid billing systems and their prepaid revenue recognition system. Mohit earlier worked for AT&T and has contributed to many patents filed in the telecommunication area. Fascinated by small ideas that turned into global powerhouses and innovation, simplicity and the potential of technology has been always been his passion. Mohit grew up in Lucknow and graduated from Harvard Business School, where he did advanced management program in April 2016, and prestigious Indian Institute of Technology, Roorkee, which is my alma mater as well, where he completed his bachelor's in metallurgy and materials engineering in 1997. Mohit's passion for technology doesn't stop at work and is always on the lookout for ways and that he can use it to make his life easier. He has an eye towards innovation and simplicity, and passionate about technology and its possibilities. His journey so far has been recognized well, and he has been awarded both for his professional achievements as well as achievements of InMobi as a company. Mohit has been awarded prestigious IIT Roorkee Distinguished Alumni Award in 2019 for entrepreneurial excellence. Mohit has been awarded NDTV Young Turk Award in 2016, while InMobi as a company won the NDTV Indian of the Year Award in 2016. Mohit has been keynote speaker on various world platforms, including Dell World, Hadoop Summit, TEDx, InnoFest, the Economics India Summit 2016, and is also a top big data leader in the country. InMobi as a company, we know, has been recognized multiple times, has been into 50 disruptive companies, was identified as 50 disruptive companies 2013 list by the MIT Technology Review in way back in 2013 itself. InMobi was also ranked 15th on the world's most innovative companies published by the Fast Company, a US-based magazine in 2016 and 2018 again. InMobi named as the CNBC Disruptor 50 list of the year in multiple years, that is in 2018 and 2019. In a time of unprecedented challenges, we are adjusting to new norm, and key for survival is to how effectively we work from home and at the same time keep the team focused and motivated in absence of physical interactions. Remote working situations today has most of us scooped up in our homes, and no one better than Mohit probably can be example for the same, because as I'm aware, he's been in his home in California for the last 2 months, where his team is in Indian time zone. So thank you, Mohit, for taking time out today. Though being miles apart and given it's very, very late hour for you, we are confident that your rich experience and vision will be immensely helpful and inspiring for the entire IT fraternity and startups who are trying to face these worst challenges. So over to you. Once again, I welcome you, and it's over to you now, Mohit, for your keynote session.
Thank you, Dr. Omkar and Subodh. It's always great to be here. One thing, I will just pick from Dr. Omkar's session when he was talking about, India has already done great in terms of IT services, and it will be great if we can do similar kind of, replication on the product side. So a little story I want to share on that thought, because I completely agree with what he said. And year 2007, me and Naveen, we both were in US. And Naveen, obviously, who founded InMobi and is the CEO. One thing that bothered both of us was every time we talk about India, despite of having all the talent, I mean, in Bay Area, when I see Google, Intel, Yahoo, almost 30% of workforce were all engineers, mostly passing out from our colleges. IITs and IITs and everything, but every time people would associate India with a service industry. Every time they will talk about, hey, back office and that. And when there was an idea brewing in our head and we were thinking about what to do, we were quite determined to basically go back to India and try to make a product company which can compete with the best of the best in the world. And that is really, to be honest, if you ask us, that was the plan we had. Many people ask us, what do you want to do? We said, no idea what we want to do, but we want to make a product company out of India that will be a global company one day. And if possible, we'll be selling our product to US, all the way from US to China. And it was a very proud moment for us when in 2012, we had offices from Sydney to all the way till San Francisco. So, the sun never set in InMobi Empire. That's how we call it. And in fact, just before this call, I was on a session with China engineering team. We are now setting up a team in Beijing. And I'll little bit talk about it, that what we are trying to do to basically handle this problem. But let me just talk about some perspective. What I think what has happened. Maybe many people have better understanding, or they are not aware. I think in one way, either we are a very unfortunate generation or we are a very fortunate generation. Because what you are seeing or what we are seeing, this COVID, is literally happening after 1917. There is nothing happened in the world that is this severe, that has basically brought entire world to its knee. From a country from east to all the way to west, almost pretty much everything is at complete halt. If you see Europe, the decimation started from China, then it went in Europe, it went to US. US is still struggling. Some of the European countries are still struggling. China is out of it, and India is also sort of trying to control the trend. Never in our lifetime, or possibly even in our father's generation, there was a scenario where these things have happened. Even if you take example of Great Depression, World War, they were either isolated to certain part of the countries, or the impact was not known at this level. Can you imagine being in a situation, people are not having haircut for three months? There are areas people wanted to have heart surgery. They were dealing with several chronic issues. The hospitals in this country are completely shut. In New York, the situation was, in early days, there were 3,000, or there is still around 2,500 people dying every day. And some of my cousins, they were doctor over there. And if I were to tell you their story, they were taking ventilator out from one person and giving it to other person based on who will survive and who will not survive. Same situation in Italy, same situation in Spain, same situation is in UK, where the Prime Minister himself was on ventilator in ICU for 3 days. So you can imagine, if there is a saying, hell freezes over or apocalyptic now, in my opinion, this is it. And to be honest, I am sitting in US for last 3 months. Generally, I spend 15 days in India and 15 days in US every month. And I have not been to Bangalore for last 3 months. But if I see what's happening in India and what's happening in here, I'm absolutely so proud of people of our nation, leadership, and everyone who is working over there. There are problems. I think India has a problem of migrant worker. And we don't have a very robust and social security services and system that is there in some developed nation. But how everyone has come together and handle this problem is unbelievable and remarkable. I mean, the complete myth of superpower has been liberated. These aircraft carrier, these thousands and thousands of missile and ballistic missile and ICBM and everything means nothing when basically, a country who is struggling to gather ventilators, who is struggling to collect medicine, which is available widely in India to treat malaria. And I think I remember Dr. Omkar mentioned one more point over here. I think this disease also has created a reflection, or for every country to look at, that if you are not strong on manufacturing, next problem may not even give you that chance. Because this is a scenario where planes are not flying, ships are not coming to the country, so you are on your own. So we had people carrying gun in grocery store over here to get the toilet papers. This is what has become of the society in a most developed country. So I think this is the scale of this pandemic that we are dealing. And obviously it is going to have a far reaching impact on our life. and I want to share some data with you so that once again we can put some more emphasis on the point I'm trying to make. Subodh, can you confirm if you are able to see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, your screen is appearing. Yes.
Okay. So if you see this slide, guys, this is actually a advertising slide, because we wanted to take a stock on what's happening to various industry and how they are impacted. So everything that you are see red is basically
Wait.
completely impacted or at halt or has gone down in just 1 month. So if you can see all the industry over here, from tobacco to alcohol to everything, all the revenue generation from apparel, jewelry, personal care, cars, travel by car, it's all red. The only three things where you are seeing the sliver of light is grocery, because people need to eat. You are seeing household supply, which is up because you need to use, you are staying more at home, so you need to use more supplies. And this is an interesting category, which is entertainment at home. But if you think about all these red, this alone is a multi-trillion-dollar industry across the globe, and the mean decline that you can see over here is around 50%. So pretty much some of the industry that are completely vanished. So if you go to travel, international flights, tours, restaurant, their business is gone. They and when it will open up, I don't think it's going to be the same world. But just going ahead, this is one more depiction of, if this is your frame, how industries are suffering or basically growing. Everything that we know, where our life circled around, furnishing, fitness, consumer electronic, footwear, jewelry, food, takeout, is all black. It has all decreased. And once again, you will see grocery supplies and those component over here. One more look of how things have been growing in partial lockdown is opening up in some state, and also few things are coming up back, personal care and all those kind of things. But if you see, more or less everything else is red. This is also an interesting trend. You are seeing next set of data where how things are shifting from offline to online. I will touch more about this later in my session, but I think we are going to see a very huge shift, how we live our life, how we do businesses, and how industry need to adapt to what is going to happen in this new world. This is basically one more depiction that how Generation Z, millennia, and people are increasing their online presence, and how they are basically utilizing these components. So as you can see, Generation Z, that was born in all internet era, is quite aware of these model, and they are very swiftly switching to it. While if you see baby boomers and Generation X, they are still struggling, and they are still relying on a lot of the decreasing protocol of being a offline shopper store. This is also a very interesting slide. If you see, the poor people are still struggling because they don't have access to online resources as much as to their rich compatriots who have swiftly made change to the new world. So this is a very, very important point, especially for the societies where inequality exists, and how it impacts people's life. So the chances of a poor people dying from COVID-19 in US is almost 100 times more than a rich person, because a rich person can sit in house, he doesn't need to go out, all food will come for him. But a poor person has to go out, earn his daily bread, and basically do so these kind of social injustice and insecurity is going to play a very huge role in how our world will pan out in post-COVID era. So I think one more depiction of same data, but I won't go into that, and I will come back to my presentation part. So as you can see, some of these industry, it took 100 years to basically build them and put that growth around it. So if you say travel and airlines, almost after 100 years, for last 5-6 years, people were talking about over tourism, people were talking about airline efficiency, and after 9/11, it took them 10 years to recover and once again come back to the profit sector. And all of a sudden, this big event has changed that insight completely for them. So the lesson from here is basically, as an entrepreneur and as a society, I think our life is getting very dynamic. Now world is completely flat. In 1917, when plague was happening in Europe and US, Asia was almost immune to it because people were not traveling. Now the thing is, any impact happen in any part of the world, rest assured within a week it will be a global phenomena. So we should actually expect these kind of pandemic more and more, because the pollution, our lifestyle, our innovation is heading in every direction, and nature has always its way to basically set the balance right. So I think this is not going to be the one-off event. People are already talking about that this virus is going to come back in fall season, and possibly it will be 3-4 years before we get our things back in track. And you don't know, maybe there will be something else coming our way that we need to be ready on. So what are the lesson that we need to take and basically bring some big changes to our life? And now I will take you back to conversation when we were at InMobi, and we have faced a similar kind of problem, not to this epic proportion, but for us it was an existential question. So in 2008, we started with mobile discovery. When we came to India, we started InMobi, and the name of InMobi used to be M-Khoj. And pretty much what we wanted, we wanted to build a Groupon before even Groupon was born. The only problem was we were building it in wrong country. So if you build a Groupon in US, advertiser lap on it, and they are willing to pay for the advertising money. But in India, everyone liked the service, but no advertiser was ready to pay for it. So we were almost about to die. We raised some small fund, and all our credit card, all 4 founders, they were maxed out. We had no money left, and there was roughly 3,300 left in our bank account. And we sat in a room. For 11 hours. And the big discussion in front of was, me, Naveen, Amit, and Abhay. We disrupted our life. We told our wife that, hey, we are going to build a company. We are going to do this and that. And the situation is that we don't even have a money to pay our rent. So what do we do? So the total debt on our head at this point of time was around $12,000. And we figured out 3,300 is not going to basically get rid of that debt, and possibly our company will be dead anyway. So what can we do with this money? So after 17 hours, the decision that we took is we have a big problem where none of the Indian VC is believing our plan that we can make a global company, and we can make it from India, and we can compete with the likes of Google and Facebook. We thought, why don't, Naveen, you buy a ticket to US and you go to Silicon Valley. And you go to Silicon Valley and you tell them and you sell them the dream that we are going to build a technology and product powerhouse, and we are going to build it from East. We are going to build it from India. And not only Europe and US, we will conquer China and Japan as well, which is very hard to do even for some US companies as well. And while we are doing that, why don't we target all the VC who are either Indian origin or basically are quite aware of at least Indian ecospace. So the first person that we met was Ram Shriram. He was the angel who wrote first check to Sergey Brin and Larry Page for Google, $100,000, and he is still on Google board member. We thought he has done it. We should go to him. And we should talk about it. Maybe he will believe it, and he will help us. And that was the first meeting. We did not meet any VC. We just wrote him a cold email, and he responded. Next day, Naveen bought a ticket. He met Ram, and he said, and while he was at plane, Naveen changed his PowerPoint, and he said, we are going to build a company in US, because we were so disappointed. We were so frustrated. We thought nobody's going to believe our India story. So he flipped it. So he said, we'll build it in US and then we'll spread it to all over the world. And he met Ram. And Ram basically saw the presentation. He sort of scolded him. He said, when you wrote the mail, you said you wanted to come from East and you wanted to do this. So he said, I will give you the money, but flip your PowerPoint again. And once again, you start from there and you stick to your original idea. If people are not believing, that's their problem. But if you change your idea, then you are not believing on your idea. That was the lesson he gave to us. And as a founder, all you have is the belief. So problem will come 100 times in a day. Sometime it will be COVID, sometime it will be something else. They are not going to go away. But if you believe in your idea, I'm pretty sure you will find a solution out there. So not only that, Ram basically gave us the money, and then he his office was right in front of the number one VC firm in the world, Kleiner Perkins. And he said, he told Naveen, hey, come with me. And he took him to Kleiner Perkins. He called John Doerr, which is also one of the legend, one of the biggest VC brand name in Valley. And he said, hey, John, why don't you come here? Look at this slide. I want to help these guys. What do you think? John looked at the slide. Within 15 minutes, say, oh, looks phenomenal. Looks good idea. I always wanted to do something in India. I think there's a lot more potential. And first time I'm seeing somebody talking about product. And, it was done. And before you know it, we from $3,300 in the bank and $7,700 debt on our head, we got a 8 million check. And with that money, we completely changed our plan. From the Groupon, we become a completely overall mobile marketing company, product base. And basically one after another, we started going into each continent. And by 2012, we were able to achieve our goal of having an office and having our business in every continent and almost every big country that matters to the world. So as a result, today from Australia to Honolulu, you can circle around the world. You will have InMobi, and you will have InMobi's offices and its business. The other thing that we did early on is, we were very clear that, the one question that was being asked to us, are you Google of India? Are you Facebook of India? Are you this? And we were very clear, no. We are InMobi of the world. What we do it in every country, and we are a mobile advertising company, and that's what we do. So it's very important, to have a vision and be extreme bold about it. I think the big difference that I have seen in Indian entrepreneur versus what I see in US. In US, inherently, they think big. Everything is big. Everything is big over here. It's a big country. It's a big consumption. It's a big military power. It's a big car manufacturing hub. So everything has a scale, and basically the what do you call the bigness associated to it. We are coming from a different society. India traditionally has been a saving based society. So basically our the way we have been groomed, or what we have seen our parents doing, no, is do small, never do big thing. That is too risky. You don't do that. If you do this, something else would happen. So there is always people try to put more fear and more risk into us, and that is what has become to basically our the inherent trait of Indian society. And I think there has been a drastic shift in last 10 years, not only in even society, even in a political landscape. I'm a very a political person. But when was the last time when some terrorist can come to your country and your country respond in a way? This was really unprecedented for me. While living in US, I always believe that you kill an American, next day American will be bombing your city, no matter what. For them, the value of life matters, and you just can't mess with it. So that's a mindset. That's a mindset that I'm invincible. It's a mindset that I can handle any problem. It's a mindset that I'm the best. And once you have that kind of mindset, the mentality of fear, the mentality of paranoia will completely go out of your life. Because starter life is nothing but hearing no from every corner. You'll be hearing from your VCs. You'll be hearing sometimes your employee. You'll be hearing sometimes, even your parents, what the hell you are thinking, what you're trying to do. Even authorities, societies, everyone will come and will say, no, this cannot be done. There'll be very few people who will come and who will say, no, go ahead. I think you should do even bigger. This is, you are, a real VC. He was telling me, and at least I know one of the company, he decided not to invest in that company simply because the founder were thinking too small. And he met two teams who were doing a similar kind of things. And the one team, their goal was almost similar, but they were more ambitious, versus one team who had the better technical know-how, but I think they were thinking small. So they decided to bet on the founder who were thinking bold and who are thinking bigger, rather than betting on the company, because they knew that they will have some initial advantage. But since the founders are not thinking bigger, the company will die down. Somebody will come from the back, will raise a lot of money, and basically eat their lunch on that. So I want to bring that topic to the second part that I want to bring it. What is the flavor of leadership when you are grappled with these kind of crises? So there are always, I think you must have heard, you must have read a very famous book, by Horowitz Anderson, wartime leader and peacetime leader. So he talked about, the leadership has two traits. One is a leadership when there is a peacetime. When there is a peacetime, you are always thinking long term. You always need to understand where the world is heading. You have time in your hand. You have basically luxury of choosing what not to do and choosing what to do. You have luxury of using your resources in a right way. So you get into a zone where you want to be self-critical. You want to be very objective, and you always want to think of doing things which can last generation. Even when you are not there, you are building a company for 300 and 400 years. And how do you set the foundation is basically where the peacetime leadership comes very handy. These times basically where your the critical awareness goes to a very different level. You start to evaluate everything, because time is not running out of your hand. And every step that you take needs to lead something that bigger is happening. What happened in a wartime? When war happened, as the saying goes, there are no rules. How various armies are trained in this world. When the guy is fighting in the front, at most he has captain or major or colonel, and over there, and the firing is happening. And on, maybe I'm just giving you a metaphor. It may be a fraction of second when you are out on the front line. Either you kill your enemy or you will get killed by their enemy. So in that kind of decision making, your self-critical nature is not going to help. Your fear is not going to help. Your fear is basically going to make you more, your hand will freeze. Your hand will freeze when it's the time to fire your gun. When it's time to fire aim, you are basically grappled with freedom, and you're feeling a sort of a intellectual and physical paralysis. So wartime leader, what they do is basically they take instant decision, and you don't worry about whether this decision is right and wrong, because there's not enough time. Indecision is what will kill you. Sometimes every time there is a bad news, I know, the media and the press and everything, talks about, hey, this company is laying off 100 people, 10 people. This company is doing pay cut. And I have recently done in both at InMobi and Resort, and I'll walk you through. The point is, sometimes you have to sacrifice 10 to 50 people to save 1,000 people. Because if you don't take that call today, your entire platoon, your entire company, your entire unit that is fighting out there, the people who are battling out there will be dead in a week. Because what we are dealing, or what is happening in war crisis, or in this epic pandemic that we are dealing, is not written in textbook. People don't know what to do with it. We don't know what to do with it. If it's a financial crisis, if it's a technical crisis, we have seen these things in our world. We have seen various examples, and we can figure something out. But this is a virus. Sometimes it's killing people in 2 days. Sometimes it's basically some people are not having any symptom. The only way to overcome at this point of time seems like just halt everything, stay in a room, and be in a standby, and that's what we do. And that's where the wartime thinking needs to take over. That's how a founder, CEO, and leadership immediately change, their perspective, and they need to immediately transition from peacetime leader to a wartime leader. I have one more excellent example. When I was at HBS, they covered one story, and it filled my heart with pride. I don't know how many of you have heard the name Karanveer Kang. I'm seeing some, some emojis are coming. So if you have heard this name, Karanveer Kang, can I see some hand wave? Oh, at least I saw few. To be honest, the irony of our life, I think he is the greatest wartime leader, and people don't know who Karanveer Kang is. If you ask who is Kangana Ranaut, who is Alia Bhatt, possibly there'll be 50 million and 60 million fans out there. Karanveer Kang was the GM of Taj when it was getting attacked by terrorists. And I know two people very well who were there. So there is a guy, Harish Manwani, who was, the Hindustan Unilever CMD. He was having a conference over there. His conference was going on, and while this hotel got attacked, this guy, he was in some very important conference, something. Immediately he came out and he took his shoes off. He took everything out. His family was also in that hotel. Without worrying about that, his first thing in his mind was, how do I save my guest? And he was going floor by floor and putting people out of that floor where the terrorists were entering and basically blowing things up, and putting them over there. He got a call, and security wanted to haul him out. Everyone wanted to tell him basically, hey, you don't need to be here. You can go out. He said, are you kidding me? If there is one last man standing in this hotel, that needs to be me, and I'm not leaving this place until all my employee and all my guests are safe. Within 6 hours, his entire family got killed. Unfortunately, they were in the room which was closer to the wing where the terrorists was hauled out. He could not attend to them. He did not see them. And he did not sleep for 24 hours, and he was able to clear at least 7 wings. And he was able to save almost all countless celebrities and the high potential business leader who were in that hotel. Next day, he called his father. His father was a retired army officer. He said, Father, this is what happened, and I'm calling you not to tell you that I am safe or something. I'm going to tell you that my entire family is killed, and you can blame me for that. And because I could not attend to them, and I was handling my guests, and I was trying to save them. And his father told him, you did the right thing. And next time, if you call me, either all those terrorists needs to be dead, or somebody should be calling me that you are dead while saving your guest and employee. And it literally brought tears to my eyes, that how can a family be like that? This is the epitome of leadership in a wartime. And other thing I want to do is, leadership is not for a privilege or few one. You all are leader in your own sense. When you are staying at home, you are actually leader of the society, because by not going out, you are saving 10 people. One person can infect to 10, and then 10 can infect to other 100, and then 10,000. So in 3 days, the infection can reach out to the entire city. So leadership is a mindset. That is what we tell at InMobi at Rizort to every employee. It's a mindset. If you think that you are the master of your own destiny, you are the master of what you do, you are a leader. You are not a worker anymore. And that is what I look for. I look for someone who is going to wait for the instruction, who is going to be critical about everything, who is going to say no, or who is going to tell me risk about everything, or who is going to basically put his his brain into it, and possibly come up with something more bold and more successful approach over there. So it's a mindset that is what I drive. What drives some of the most successful company out there. If you see, it is the mindset that made GM, Tesla, Honeywell, every these company make ventilators. Same thing is happening in India. In fact, I know one of the junior from Roorkee who has made a oven which can actually sanitize all the component. He designed that and made that everything in less than 20 to 25 days. That is a unbelievable innovation and disruption in time of need. In fact, the software that we are using, Airmeet, he's also my and Subodh's alma mater. And I was just talking to him, and I said, this is the event that basically will define what Airmeet is going to be in future. Because the travel world, how we basically socialize, how we connect with each other, is going to change completely. Most of the Western world, and even in India, I don't think now you are going to see hotel crowded to that level, where people are falling on each other place. There needs to be a social distancing. Social distancing is going to be part of our lives. This event has also basically told us that the complete physical world is immaterial. Half of the thing, in US, people have 4 cars, 5 cars. They are parked for like 4 or 5 months, and they are not going to be using it. Anything that you talk about, you buy this gadget, you buy that gadget, is all useless. People are basically, what are people buying? They are going back to the basic human need, is food, and it's physical fitness. People are doing push-ups, people are doing yoga, people are doing everything that they resisted. And they said, I don't have time because I'm just running around after this futile physical world. I think this crisis has given all of us to do that self-reflection and really understand what is important in life and what is not. Connecting to the family, connecting to the personal level with your friends, you're calling your buddies. I think this is what has given solace to all of us. I think this opportunity has also busted a myth that a society can only work when they are congregated to a place. 50% of the world, look, all of us working from our home. I have been working by India timings for last 3 months. I sleep at 3 a.m. and 4 a.m. and you won't believe we are more productive, because in Bangalore we travel 4 kilometers in 2 hours. So basically 4 hours in a day we just sit in a traffic. We burn fuel. One guy is sitting in one car, and people are buying bigger car and bigger car. And then 2 hours we are sitting over there. We are smoking all that fuel, all that pollution and everything. By the time you reach to office, you are already exhausted, and half of the time you are having tea, drinking. Now people are saying, I'm so bored, I'm working. So I think we are having we had some of the highest productivity in this time. And to be honest, I will be proposing that, hey, anyone who wants to work even beyond this crisis over, be my guest. It needs to be an accountability driven model. As long as you own your things, it's all about mindset, about what I was telling you. If you are a leader, you own your destiny, you own your life, you own your work, and if you own your work, you always want the best outcome. So the best thing happens when you have that kind of mindset. So I think those kind of shift we are going to see in our life as well. I think human race is is at the top of the food chain, because we are very disruptive. We are quite adaptive, and the world has thrown all these kind of problems. Sometimes there is a flood, sometimes there is a famine, all kinds of war, and we have always came out of it. So I have no doubt that within few months, some of our brilliant scientists or some of our colleagues will create a vaccine, and this will also become a thing of past, like measles and diphtheria and everything else as well. But yes, at this point of time, the most important part is how to stay safe, how to handle this crisis, but do not let that fear get into your mind. Because if you let that fear get into your mind, the only outcome that come out of that fear is doomsday. Nothing good come out of it. And I think there is a very interesting picture. I'm giving you a lot of example. I'm a very big sci-fi buff. So there was a movie, Green Lantern. I don't know whether you have seen that. So the super power of that hero is basically their enemy was fear. And the more people will fear in the universe, the enemy will grow more powerful. So the only way to conquer is basically free yourself with the fear, and bring a resolve in your mindset that that you are the supreme being, you are part of the supreme being, and if you are here for a reason. And if you control your destiny, if you control your plan, then I think only you can do best about it. So nothing to worry about, nothing to fear about. But that doesn't mean that you can be careless. There are different. So you need to understand these emotions very, very clearly. So fearlessness is not. It doesn't mean that you need to be stupid or you need to be very careless. Once again, I want to give you the army front example. If you don't fear, it doesn't mean you will just get up, take your gun and start running, because then also you are not thinking and you'll get shot. Instead, what you are doing is you are not fearing that enemy, but at the same point in time, what you are thinking is that how do I nullify that threat? So that is what you need to do. So we still need to do what is right for us, what is right for our society, but we can't let fear decide our destiny. We can't let fear change the course of our life, course of our society. There are many brave people. Think about these doctors, think about these nurses, think about these police forces, paramilitary forces who are risking their life every day. What is driving them? What is driving it? They are human like us, and they are out on the road. They are helping the sick people. They are out right in the front lines. So in my opinion, they are leaders, and sometimes they are better than us because they are taking instant call over there. They are basically helping the needy over there. And that is precisely what we do. I think India as a company is very blessed with the talent. We have highest percentage of younger population. I do not see any reason why we cannot be a nation that can produce the best of the world product companies and even manufacturing. I think a time has come that our country needs to be self-reliant and making things that we can use in our country, and not only in our country, but we can export it to other country as well. With this pandemic, I think the world order is going to be changed. The reliance of the world on China has been exposed, and everyone has been impacted. And I think if there is one company who needs to be on the front line, who needs to really pounce on this opportunity and make a great future, is basically India. With our kind of manpower and the natural resources that we have and the talent that we have, we need to just double down on our manufacturing and be the manufacturing capital of entire world. So I think I see great opportunity in this crisis. So from the gloom and doom, now let me bring you guys to some of the opportunity that I see that will emerge from this world. I think the biggest opportunity that will come from this world is the penetration of mobile and digital is immense. So anyone has any idea that was not growing because the penetration on these two mediums was not happening is now completely unlocked. Whether you are on education, whether you are on game, whether you are on delivery, whether you are, this is the perfect time to think of doing those things, because you are going to see phenomenal growth trajectory. Second thing, the importance of non-physical world. You know what matters to human life, whether basically touching base with our family, reflecting on inner self, or basically you talk about mental wellness. These are going to be some real challenges which are going to be coming out of these crises. So any idea around that is going to be hugely important and useful for society. So I see a tremendous, opportunity for those kind of ideas to basically go and flourish. One of the startup, I have a resort which was based on the travel, and you can say, hey, is that market dead? Yes, one part, the way travel was happening is dead, but team is already thinking several other opportunities that we can do. Hey, can we show the world people in a virtual way? Maybe you are not able to go to Paris for next 2 years, but can I bring Paris to you? There are so many chefs. You always wanted to go to that place, but for in order to go to that place and eat that food, you have to travel, you have to spend this much money. Can I bring that chef who can do a live telecast while he is building that recipe and you are building it with him in an interactive way? So, we have to think every business once again. That is what this problem means. We can't be sad, we can't be depressed, and we can't be hopeless that it is over. In my opinion, one phase is over. It's okay. We are at ground zero again, and we need to start over, and we need to think that what are the opportunities and where this world is going to head in new reality. In new reality where social distancing will be part of our life, hygiene is going to be a very important part of society. Things may not be available as frequently as they were, and need versus want. So we need to really focus on what we need as a society versus that want, because people are not going to be spending money on want, but they'll be spending money on need. They are not going to be sacrificing over there. So same thing from essential services, video medicine, video psychometry. Everything is going to evolve in that manner. So I think there's a lot of positive things that are going to come out of it. Yes, this is definitely a very big setback, not for us, for the rest of the world. So we all are in this together. We are going to see some tough time ahead of us, because the economy of every country is receding. In fact, at a global level, it is shrinking first time in a decade. So there will be repercussion. But life is not over yet. This is just one phase. We are coming out of it, and as we come out of over it, the new beginning will start. And I think if we focus on that hope, if we focus on that bold vision once again, and we pick up the pieces of life where we left behind, while not tying to the legacy, which are not relevant anymore, I think we'll be okay. So with that, I think I will just take a pause and stop this monologue and rather have a interactive conversation.
So thank you. I think it has been very, very good to hear your excellent thoughts, and especially I think reminding us and I think reminding the complete audience about the leadership qualities, and bringing, definitely brought tears to my eyes. I'm sure when you talk about Karanbir Kang, right, it has been very, very thought-provoking for all of us, right? Leadership was going to define, and as I think you rightly said, rethinking every businesses and startups as a leaders, going back to the canvas, going back to the same, thinking process is very, very important. Multiple points I think you have brought in. At this point of time, I would, let the floor open for question and answers from the audience. Again, a quick check. Basically, I would request, audience, the people who are connected, to raise hand and wait for your turn, so that you quickly we can, your questions are there. And definitely I can see some questions already here, and I think a lot of encouragements, a lot of good points people are talking about in the session. So definitely ask your questions by raising your hand. While I think people are going to raise hand, there are a couple of things which you already touched upon, Mohit, and I think a floor is also open to DG sir, right? I know there are opportunities which are coming in. You talked about the opportunities, in health sector. You talked about opportunities in, the convergence of apps. When I say apps, it's not about, applications for, consumption, but applications for a lot of other things, as you spoke about mobile. There's also new trends coming in, in the way the robots and robotic, are going to come up. So any thoughts around that? How, because in fact, I remember very well on the virtual reality and augmented reality aspect you talked about. Our first speaker as well, Subrata Bakshi, talked about the similar aspects of, in terms of, there is going to be virtual world which is going to be enabled. So going back on in terms of, how the robotic industry or these technology, certain more technology areas. So any thoughts on that while we, get some questions?
So I think robotic is one more field of innovation where we have seen a lot of things basically coming over there. And in my opinion, it is just the beginning. It is only going to go big. And I always see there's a lot of resistance and two kinds of thought. Are they going to take people's job away? What will be a robotic society? Once again, I think it's a fear-based mindset. I think robotic will free human to basically doing the things that we shouldn't be doing. If you think the amount, I was just reading the news today. There is a gas leak in Vizag plant, and 11 people died on the street and several workers there a day. Think of a scenario. Think of a way where when you are opening up a plant after 40 days, can this be done without the presence of any human? Can it be done by machine? Can it be done by that? And trust me, it has been done. Tesla factory is almost 90% robotized, but it doesn't mean they don't employ people. They have actually more people than what GM and Ford have. But what do the people do? They write software. The Tesla is like a intelligent car. It can drive itself on this road. So I would rather be doing fitting and welding in a shop floor, which is a low paying job, or I skill myself, or rather I control those robots. So I think if you once again have a growth mindset, look, as a human, nobody can replicate our soul and creativity. That is our power in this world. We can think, we can creative, and we can have soul. And if we apply that to more and more area, I think we'll grow more, rather than doing things where neither the creativity, neither the soul, or sometimes soul get lost by doing that. And it's a repetitive work which is better done by robot. So I think Subodh, you are going to see more of that. But I also want to say, I think the human lost their way somewhere. We were funding 10 e-commerce company, 10 food delivery companies at this point of time, when we are struggling to get even new antibiotic. Before you know it, people will be dying with a simple infection. So I think our priority need to be changed after this event. The basic human life need to be saved, whether it's medicine, whether it's ventilators, everything that is needed. I think so. It has shown some vulnerability for us, and I hope it will help us to bring that balance on both sides.
Definitely, I think soul and the creativity. I think two messages, are very, very strong messages. I would like, bring Dr. Rai, in the conversation. And in fact, with a lot of centers of excellence, especially virtual reality and augmented reality, and even recently when we did a Safe India Hackathon in EP Bhubaneswar and Entrepreneur Park, I think recently has created certain products which are are required for this time right now. So, your thoughts in terms of how STPI centers of excellence are trying to, bring this opportunity, or are trying to, guide the startups or nurture the startups in making some new products, sir.
In fact, as I spoke earlier, I shared my views that India has already decided, yeah, had taken certain measures and initiatives to afford the world-class startup ecosystem, so that they are provided with all those services that are required for them, required by them to create those world-class products. And we were already doing that. We started, Electropreneur Park in Delhi University way back in the year 2014-15, and that has created several products with a lot of IPRs. Almost 22 startups have been able to create products, and they have also get it. They have also been able to obtain the IPR. The same thing like Electropreneur Park at Bhubaneswar. So it's not very natural that when the people are there, the facilities are there, and the whole ecosystem has been put in place. Sensitization has already been done, and anything that is required for this ecosystem is already in place. It was but natural, and it was in fitness of thing that these people came forward and have quickly, created products and services required to meet the challenging times that we are facing right now. So, I mean, it was just obvious that guys have indulged, created product, and are now in market to help out COVID-19 challenge.
Yeah, I'm sure. I think, yeah, that's yes. I think where we in Center of Excellence we are, and I think under the guidance we are trying to create that kind of enabling environment. I should say that, and that has been what we're trying to say, that this is the way startups should get nurtured. One question I think right now I see here is, I think on the team, right? I think Dheeraj Lalwane wants to ask a question, because you talked about the mindset, Mohit, right? And having a startup faces challenge with with people, right? How it is, I mean, having a good founding team, and then having a good initial team, right? It's important, but it's very difficult, right? So your thoughts on that?
So, so I have a very simple principle how I hire people. And by the way, I'm quite involved. Any senior engineering hiring that I do at InMobi and Resort, I'm always involved that. And as I told you, most of my hiring is based on three traits that I look into the people. So first is authenticity. There are very few people in this world who are authentic, which means if you behave who you are, you don't have to imitate anything. When you don't have to imitate anything, you are very secure about yourself. So there is actually no insecurity in your head. So I always want to be surrounded by people who are very confident and who are very secure about themselves. The second quality that I look for is, uh, are they open to feedback? Do they have inherent desire to be better? Because why do you hang out with your friends? I think if you think Roorkee days, we hang out because you can say anything to them and they will not feel bad. Hey, he's my friend, that's why he's saying that. So I think that is a very important aspect of a effective team. If you can be candid, and if you can tell me, hey, you are not doing this, without thinking about any repercussion, so it creates a very positive environment in the team. And the third one is, basically, I always hire a person to give him a challenge of life, and I remain very honest. Hey, I have a problem, I don't know how to solve it, I think you are the best person to solve it. If you come, you can help me solve this problem, and at the same point of time, I will give you a challenge that you will enjoy solving. So once you do that, then we both have common motivation. I don't need to give them any other motivation. So I think these three principles are quite important building an effective team. And even in the founders, we are very, very good friends, but we are very honest to each other. We constantly give feedback to each other. who is doing good, who is doing bad. And every time we do that, we try to help each other. And we are very brutal. We are very brutally, we set higher standard for them and for us, and we motivate them to meet that. So that is very important, because as a team, very soon you will start to hit a plateau, and then everyone in that team needs to push each other so that you can raise the bar further. So I think this is what has been quite helpful for me.
Great, and I'm sure that answers to the audience. I think we are facing some difficulty in terms of getting people live. They are able to connect, and then I think they are getting disconnected immediately. One question I think again, Mohit, to you is there has been always a challenge in terms of what you build, right, and what you market, and actually what you deliver, right?
Yeah.
So the synergy, right, in terms of what you build, what you market, and what you deliver, right? How do you drive the synergy, because it's not easy.
So
Sir,
the
can
basic
you?
principle that I apply over here is, there are two kind of product. One is pull, and one is push. Pull is basically where a marketing is so strong that it pulls people toward itself. So there are many companies who have done good work in past, where they become a customer magnet. So for example, if you take a example of, let's say, BMW, so it's a pull brand. I mean, they can sell anything, and people will come to them, because it has created that aura over there. While a new brand is coming out, who is going to basically who's going to establish itself, and need to fight it out with the established players. So those are basically push brand, and I would rely more and more on the product itself, that it need to have differentiation. It needs to have basically the right attributes that are different, to fight with the pull brand out there with less budget and less marketing. So when you are a small, you rely more on the push strategy, because you have to show the differentiation. You have to basically show the value, and show how people should basically get more value than the established brand. But as you grow, start to big, the marketing is also become quite important, because people need to discover you. They need to understand that you are better. So if you remember, the good example I have is Ken Darrow and Eureka Forbes. So when they started, people are going door to door telling, hey, there is a water filter, it is important if you drink clean water. And now you will not see Eureka Forbes and Ken Forbes knocking at your door, because the ad is coming on the TV. So I
Correct.
think that's a good example, how you make these call on the
Correct.
budgets.
Great. One question, I think this question is to DG sir. I think you talked about earlier in terms of manufacturing, becoming a need, and I think Mohit also touched upon that manufacturing has to be one of the key factors. While we have, I think. Devesh Sinha ji also, probably. So we'll come back to Devesh Sinha ji. Just be hold on to yourself, right? So, sir, this question to you, sir, in terms of what is current Indian government initiatives, or what are what you think. No, you talked about I think DG sir, you talked about local economy and local manufacturing. So this question is again, how do we get people, or get companies, or get industries or enterprises from outside, especially from China, and come and do manufacturing in India?
Well, Subodh, you know that the government of India was already very, proactive about these things, and Make in India program was one such initiative, which was aimed at, promotion of companies from all over the world, so that they can come in India, establish their manufacturing, and use our huge market. That in particularly in the Department of Ministry of Electronics and IT, we took several initiatives to incentivize the local manufacturing, and with the capital incentives and so many other incentives and promotional measures, subsidies that we could afford to offer for this manufacturing. And as a result, a lot of manufacturing activity grew in India, and we became, we could manufacture, if I remember, more than $59 billion electronic goods within this country in a very small spell of time. Is despite the fact that we have been importing even till today close to $60 billion electronic goods so far. So we have miles to go, but post COVID-19, as Mohit had just said, that the China as a country, as a regime has been exposed, and this basically pandemic has left all the nations citizens their citizens to think and ponder that they are now on their own, and therefore it would be important for these nations, mostly all those nations where we have large consumer base, a large population, to think and make sure with their policy, rules, regulations, incentivization, or whatever it is possible, to promote and ensure manufacturing near to the consumers. And that would also be, important for all those uh, IPR holders or those manufacturers, to make sure that and they will also become costlier because of cost of social distancing, cost of logistics, time to move the goods, because all these things are going to be interrupted with the COVID-19 phenomena. And therefore they would also think worthwhile, it wise, to go and set up their manufacturing facilities near to the consumer and the market. So both the factors, like governments are going to be more protectionist. They are going to take care of so many regulations. They are going to put up tariffs and incentivize the local manufacturing. Other hand, it will be good for all those product companies and manufacturers to move and bring those manufacturing facilities closer to the market and consumer. That is the kind of phenomena that we are going to see in times to come, post COVID-19, because it will help both the nations, the consumers, and also to the companies to remain competitive. This market dynamics, I foresee that the market dynamics that used to be till pre COVID-19, and the governments were mostly out of any play with market dynamics. Market was on its own, and therefore, but post COVID-19, I think the governments are duty bound to take certain measures to make sure that they are not dependent on all those big nations in terms of the goods and supplies for them. And therefore it would be incumbent on those governments to do whatever is possible to promote local manufacturing, local economy, regional level consumption, a very reliant system, so that for goods at least the citizens are not deprived and are not presented with these kind of scenarios which we have been facing because of COVID-19. So I foresee that the advantages of those developed nations in terms of manufacturing would slowly fade away, and the manufacturing activity would be more dispersed and decentralized all over the geographies. So that is my take.
Yeah, thank you. I think so. I believe Gopal Krishna and a lot of others who wanted to hear on this topic. Probably you are able to hear. So we have Devesh Sinha ji also. I think so. If you can hear us, sir, I think
Sure, I
go ahead
can.
with
I can.
yeah. Please go ahead with your question. Yeah.
Good afternoon to all of you. My name is Devesh Chinna and I'm an entrepreneur. And my serial entrepreneur, rather, my new venture is into, again, another company which we are dealing in supply chain logistics softwares. My question to Mohit is particularly in terms of the startups, how do you see the changing situation for the, particularly in the equity funding space with the VCs and the seed funding or the angel funding? Particularly the companies who had started might have got funding. Let's say I'm in a travel space, and I know that that's not going to be doing well, particularly in the few months or few, I would say a couple of years. I would say it will be a little bit challenging, right? Or the hospitality business. So how do you see those companies, surviving this challenging period? And plus, even the new companies who wants to come to the space, not necessarily which will be probably the spaces where the opportunities are big, but the spaces where opportunities were big when they started. So how do you see that changing?
So definitely, I think this is going to impact because everybody is trying to, excuse me, understand the impact here. So the money is going to be a little bit difficult. But I think there is a important thing. It's called hedgehog strategy. So if you see hedgehog, I don't know what you call it in Hindi. So it's like an animal who has this spike, and whenever the enemy come to eat this guy, which is like some predator, it becomes a ball. So and the way it becomes a ball, it does three things. So first thing is it has a spike on his body. So when it completely folds itself up, so the spikes, basically the predator can't eat them. But the most important thing, what hedgehog does by becoming a circular is conserve its energy and resources. It can be in that state for 21 days. So I think that is the analogy that, in fact, I'm doing in resort as well, because we don't know when travel will be back. I can't control that. But what I can control is I can conserve cash. We have cut everything. Everything we have cut. Anything that is unnecessary, you just cut it because you wait it out. We still believe that, it is going to be a part of life. People have to travel. People have to, humans are social animals. So we will figure something out. There has to be something. Our way of life will change, but something will replace something. So the idea is to basically wait it out, conserve the cash, or basically go into a scenario where you can live with least amount of resources as long as possible. And when the time is right, if your idea is valid and if there is a demand for it, I think the funding and those things will follow.
Okay. Yes, I think so. Yes, Deveji is, I think, is out of this round. So we are almost towards the end. I think probably one quick last question, if somebody has one. I see is again in terms of more in terms of your favorite quote or mantra to inspire again the startups and especially the MSMEs and startups. So one quick. People are still asking for one code and one mantra.
So
from you.
one code, rather code, or basically rather I would say entrepreneurship. You should only walk on that road when you are absolutely clear that there is a problem that bothers you so much that you can't sleep, because that road is full of problem. That road is full of crisis, and 9 out of 10 people on that road will actually come back or die. So that is actually 9 out of 10 is a good percentage. I would say 999 out of 1,000 people will die in that journey. But who you are. So basically, if you are so passionate about a problem that the problem itself is becoming a problem for you, that is not allowing you to sleep, it's not allowing you to eat. So unless you give your shot or chance to solve that problem, possibly you will be miserable. So if you are that guy, if you are that motivated, I think this is the road for you, and you should walk this road nonetheless, all the problems and all the crises that you are going to see in life, because I'm pretty sure you can handle them.
Yeah, very good. I think, sir. Again, a quote from you or inspiration from you, sir. To you, you're on mute right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Subodh, please tell me.
No, I'm saying last thoughts in terms of inspiring the startups.
Well, I think the startups have to solve the problem that this country faces right now, bring more value, create more wealth, work on the ideas, as Mr. Mohit Saxena has just spoken about his own life, his own journey, how they have been able to, spend all their saving, and finally they were at a verge where they were having no clue as to what to do, and finally something came up and they became India's first unicorn. So what I'm trying to say is that India has a lot of problems. We are about 1.3 billion strong country, having several problems. I mean, we have to create wealth, and that wealth has to percolate to the last mile. And therefore, it is very pertinent that all of us think of not only ideating but also solving the problem. Even if there is something like one of the speakers, I heard him saying that, every time you don't need to create a very world class product. I mean, you can create any product. Nowadays, you can see that in India, people are resorting to Joho rather than Zoom. We are working on Air Meet rather than Google Meet. This
Yeah.
is the kind of spirit that Indians have displayed and exhibited. They are no more very brand conscious, and therefore it has presented a great opportunity for our own indigenous products, even if they don't meet the quality of Cisco and Google or Microsoft. And therefore, it's time for you to quickly get into create products. You can see that the government of India has quickly installed GEMS protocol, like government instant messaging protocol. Now government officials are exchanging messages on that platform. Secondly, that we have our own Arogya Setu platform, which was quickly developed with 10, 10, yes, 10 million, downloads.
Downloads.
So, and therefore, the kind of scale that we have, the kind of population, and the kind of country we are, everybody would find some opportunity for their own products, some market for their product. And since the country is totally receptive, we are ready to accept any product that is given to us. We are working with it. We are very conscious now. The spirit of nationalism has gone. Love for indigenous product has gone. And therefore, I would give a call to the startups community of this country, IT services fraternity of this country, that come out and solve the problem that India faces today, and become a kind of startup, create wealth for yourself, and serve the country as well.
Oh. With that call for nationalism, with that call for startups to emerge winners, and I think with a very, very interesting talk in terms of the opportunities, in terms of leadership qualities, in terms of passion which will drive you, in terms of resolve as a leader which you have to bring in terms of reimagination, replanning. I think there is a very, very good session today. Though we have taken almost 10 minutes, I think more than what we were actually planned. But I'm sure as an audience, as a audience myself, I have enjoyed the session, and I'm sure my audience would have also enjoyed the session.
Subodh, if you hear me, one Monica Jha has commented something. How can we instill trust to accept product manufactured in India, unable to raise hand and ask without allowing camera? So can you address that problem?
Yeah. So I think she was trying to connect multiple times, but yes, we can take up the question, sir. Yes.
I think Mohit can, talk about Monica Jha's question.
So,
How can we instill the trust to accept products manufactured in India? That's a
so
precise question.
before that, I will just tell one more tangential thing. We are a very old civilization, and a very proud civilization. We were counting numbers when rest of the world was wiping their ass with leaf.
Yes, of
So,
course.
so there is never a doubt in my hand that a product made out of India will be inferior to anyone and all those things. To be honest, we are one of the nation who have our own nuclear arsenal. We have our own tanks. We have our own fighter planes. We are almost self-reliant on all medicine. In fact, it was Narendra Modi who sent the hydroxychloroquine to US. They were struggling to basically gather even few thousand. So I don't think there is any dark problem in our product quality or talent or anything else. It's basically end of the day, what do you want? If as an entrepreneur you are relying on jugaad, you are cutting corners, your product will get beaten up out there and it will not be competitive. But you are going to build something where quality matters to you, it bothers to you, you will do just phenomenal. Tata, they build Jaguar, Land Rover, some of the most luxurious car on the world, and a lot of their parts, they basically are made in their Pune factory. Ashok Leyland, one of the workhorse of almost every Asian country, and their CEO is a very good friend of mine, is completely made in India. Tata Trucks sold in 130 countries. They work from village to street to everywhere. Royal Enfield is selling their motorcycle in almost every, so I can actually give you thousands examples right there. So I don't think there is any shortage or there is anything that we cannot do. I believe on our brothers, sisters, and civilization. We are, have all the know-how and all the motivation that is needed to build world-class product.
I think that's. I think thanks, Rishi sir, because I missed that question. So we could hear,
May I suggest, Subodh, that if you are able to scroll the questions, once the session is closed, you can direct certain questions to Mohit Saxena, and he can reply to the seekers through email or whatsoever. Right?
Yeah, I'm sure, Subodh.
If
In any way, if there are certain questions,
all these
I can address it later.
and perhaps certain
Yeah.
questions will be replied. Very well,
Yeah.
Subodh, then.
Yeah. So thank you
Thank
to
you.
the speakers. Yeah, thank you to team STPI Next, and team Airmeet for helping us in bringing this webinar today. Stay tuned for next upcoming session in coming week with interesting line of speakers. So again, thank you, sir, and thank you, Mohit, for your time today. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Omkar. Thank you so much.
Very well, Subodh. Congratulations to your team, and thanks to Mohit Saxena for joining us and sharing such a valuable insight.
My pleasure. Thank you very much for having
Thank
me.
you very much.
Thank you.
And whenever you're back in India, you are,
I think you are most welcome.
Yes, definitely.
we should meet in person. Yes.
Yeah.
That
Very
be
long. Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye bye. Bye. Thank you, sir.